Well, hello, my Flosstube stitching friends. I am so excited to be back here today talking to you. My name is Christy. I am the Crosshatch Quilter, and it is Wednesday, September 18th, 2024, and this is Flosstube number 31. It has been quite a long time since I filmed the last, and I just didn't have enough stitching to show you for a really long time, so that's why I didn't record. But I have, since springtime, got my stitching bug back, and I have been stitching like a crazy lady. I am really excited for the season change. The leaves are starting to change, and it's starting to feel really crisp and cool in the mornings and in the evenings, which always makes me transfer my stitching subjects to fall stitching. So I figured before I just went full on autumn stitching, I better show you what I have stitched in the summer. So we are in my sewing room here today. I have switched out all the fall decor in here. That's where it normally resides during all months that are not fall. And I've decorated the house. I'll have put an intro video in at the beginning, so hopefully you've seen some stitchy goodness. But I'm in my sewing room today because we have a new puppy, and we sadly lost our two puppies last winter. They both crossed the Rainbow Bridge, and I have a new puppy that's running around the house, and sometimes she is nosy and wants to get into things, and so I figured having the door closed in here would be best. But I'll introduce her a little bit later. For now, I have tons of fun stitching goodness to talk about and share with you, and some quilting goodness. So the first thing I'll start with is my finishes. And the very first part of spring, maybe the tail end of winter, I worked on my Elizabeth Furnace by Hands Across the Sea. And this was a stitch along that I started with some friends, Olivia from Pumpkin Hollow Quilts, Becky Socks for Mum, and we stitched it to celebrate Yvette's birthday, and she is Yvette Go on Instagram. And we stitched this as assignment stitching. It took us about a little over 1.5 years to stitch. And I have a finish. And to be honest, I didn't have the very, very last stitches put into this until this month of September. I had everything, our assignments all done, and I just hadn't put my name in the cartouche. So this is Elizabeth Furnace, and this is my favorite sampler. So I've known all along from the very beginning that I would put my name on this sampler. So I got that done, and now she is finally ready to go to the framer. I stitched her on 36 count Baby Sheep by X Jude Designs, and I stitched it with all the Avera Soie Léger silks for these little boogers down here. These over one sheep, I just used a white 103 instead of the called for cream because it was just really bulky stitching. So it turned out great. Those little sheep are no joke. And of course all the grass, but I am so excited to have this done. I've wanted to stitch it ever since I first saw it, and stitching it with friends in a stitching assignment, scenario was the perfect way to get it done because she is a big, big girl. I loved every stitch on this. So thanks for letting me share that with you. Elizabeth Furnace by Hands Across the Sea. And I will probably post that one on Instagram now that it is actually officially finished. So then the next thing that I worked on, which took me a very long time to stitch on, and I just stitched on it monogamously for the most part, was Live on Little by Plum Street Samplers. And I will insert a picture here of where I was last time that you saw it. So when I picked this up, I knew that I just wanted to go for a finish. It's a big girl. I had started it 2 years ago, and I was just kind of ready to have it done. I know where I want to hang it in my house. I have a nautical themed bathroom. And so this took a lot of, This is a lot of stitching. And it was very fun stitching. I absolutely loved it. There's no over one. I stitched it on 36 count hog bristle by Fox and Rabbit. And I stitched it with all the called for threads. Most of them are DMC. There's a few over dyes mixed in there. But I just love it. I'm glad it's done though. Once I got it done, I just wanted to start all the things, all the little things. I was ready for just some fall, or I mean, not fall. I just was ready for some smalls, some easy, quick gratification stitching. So I finished this, I believe, in June. And I cannot wait to get this framed. I'm excited to get that up on my wall now that she's finished. So then I started to work on just a bunch of smalls, and for the most part, I finished most of them. The first one is Sing a Song. Nope. She Sights a Bird by Blackbird Designs. And I am finishing these all separately, individual framed, just like the picture. And here is my finish. This is stitched with the called for threads on the called for linen, which I believe is Oaken by Picture This Plus, 36 count Oaken. This is a fun stitch. It has a couple eyelets on it. That's all on this one. Some of them have lazy daisy stitches, but this one just has eyelets. So I think it's so cute. Those birds are hanging out with that cat. I don't know if they're pestering the cat, but most cats I know wouldn't be okay with that. They would be chasing the bird. Speaking of chasing birds, my new dog, her name is Luna, and I take her on walks almost daily. And now that it's fall, we have had a huge group of crows at the park, and they, the dog park, and they hang out on the grass a lot. They're probably looking for worms and food and whatnot, but my dog thinks it is the most fun thing. It makes her whole day, and it makes my day. She goes and chases the crows, and she's not looking to, she's not looking to hunt. She just wants to play with them. And so she chases them as fast as she can. And these crows are so smart and so funny. They fly up in the air, and then they'll let her chase them for a while, and then they'll come back around and they'll chase her. And they have made a game of it. They know who she is. They come and they look for her. I swear they do. Anyway, it has just been a joy and a fun thing, a fun part of fall so far. And then my next little finish, it came in this little package from my good friend Lori. She came and visited me in July. We had a great week of stitching and shopping and eating, and our husbands went fishing. I always look forward to my time with her. But she made me, this is a free chart from Lottie Da. Let me see. The Primitive Hair. I take that back. I have to cover up the chart even though it's free. And this is what it looks like. It is Love Never Fails. And she, because it's a free chart, she printed it out and then finished it, did a bunch of like cute paper crafting, and just put it in this little kit for me, all bagged up, ready to go with some silk and some linen. So this is my finish. I haven't fully finished it yet. I was going to pop it in a frame, and the frame isn't the right color for it that I had. So right now I've got it ready to be framed, and I'm just gonna put it in like a little tiny frame in my bedroom. So I just absolutely love that. It was a fun, quick stitch. I have fallen in love with monochromatic stitching. I think I just must always have a monochromatic stitch going now. So I'll show you. I've started a few others. I'll show you those along the way here. Another thing that I finished for my bedroom, and I will have to put in a picture here because the chart, the part that you cut out to make the pear is on the front cover page. And so I ruined it. And then after I did it, I was like, oh, well, now I don't have a cover page. But this is Blue Work Pears, and it is by Annie Bees. And oh, I love these. They are so fun to stitch. And oh, I still have sawdust on a couple of them. That stuff is messy, I tell you. But I finished it according to the directions. It was easy. I was intimidated by finishing them at first. They just looked like they were going to be a hard thing to finish, but I just followed the instructions and they went very smoothly. So here is the last one. There's 3 of them. And I stitched it with Chester's Blue, which is a Belsois silk, I believe. And this is just on a white, a 36 count white that I had in my stash. But I finished them with some wool that I had in my stash. And because they go in my bedroom, and my bedroom's mainly like blues, I didn't want to do a brown stem and green leaves on these. I will in the future when I finish my others. I have bought all of Annie B's pears charts. So I fully finished it with some French General fabrics. And then there's just a little wool piece on the bottom. And then on this third one that goes in the middle, I decided to do a different fabric, a different accent fabric. But they're all French General. They're the blue line that just was recently out. I did not do the stitching on this side. I felt like on these ones, I just wanted the stitching in the front to shine. But on the future ones, like the red work pears, I will probably do the side stitching. But I just thought these were great just the way they were. So those were so fun. And if you're intimidated by finishing them, don't be. I would say that it is a level easy sewing. It really is. If you follow the instructions, she does a great job. So then I was watching, I'm sure that everyone has met her by now, but Sean with Periwinkle Stitching. I was watching her video and she was stitching a honey berry. I almost said honey pear because I was just speaking about pears. A honey berry, and I have had the chart forever, and so I decided I wanted to stitch mine. Mine is the bigger berry though. It is it's 1/2, and so I stitched that up. It's a quick stitch, and I just love bees. It's just so fun to have them up in the summertime. I finished it with a couple pieces of wool and stuffed it with walnut shells, and it makes it really nice and compact, and I just love it. So there's my first strawberry. And then while I was finishing that strawberry, I refinished this one. I took it apart. This is a Blackbird Designs berry, and I believe it's called Sampler Berry, but I'm not quite certain. I don't have the chart any longer. But I stitched this quite a few years ago, and I was never happy with my finish. My berry just wasn't stuffed enough back then. So I re-sewed it a little bit tighter, and then I stuffed it with walnut shells, and then I gave it some wool flower top and button, and I'm much happier with it now. So there's another finish for the sewing room. And then while Lori was here visiting in July, I wanted her help to make a pair. And so we both made a pair from Stacy Nash Velvet Pear Needlebook chart. And I was so glad that I had Lori's help to do this. It intimidated me, but now I'll be able to make them. I think that we want to make all of her velvet little needle books that she has available. I think that Stacy has a pumpkin and a tangerine and some carrots. So here is my little pair, and I put a button on the side and just some silk ribbon, and then I don't know if I can untie it and show you the inside, or if I have it tied too tight, we'll see. But it was really a lot of fun to work on this together while she was here visiting, and You just follow the instructions that Stacy gives you and it turns out great. So I just did a little bit of linen on the inside on mine, and it's just a cute little needle book, but I'm just keeping mine with probably my pairs that I'll stitch in the future. So cute. So that wasn't stitching related, but I thought I would show that. My last finish that I have to share with you today is maybe my favorite, I'm not sure, but it is Stacy Nash Bees and Birds Sewing Roll. And I have loved this chart ever since it came out of market. I bought it immediately and I've just never stitched it because I had troubles with my linen choice. I originally was trying to stitch it on, I believe, Tin Roof by Weeks, and the colors just weren't working with the linen. So I'd had to start and then I abandoned it. But I recently came across some vintage pear linen by Lakeside Linens. And I'm actually not quite sure if this is vintage or not, but it's Lakeside Linens pear, 36 count. And I just really loved the way that the threads looked on the linen. I liked how it was dark enough for the White House to pop and just all of the colors. So while I was in the mood to stitch bees, I thought I would get this made up. And Stacy puts in perfect finishing directions. It does not take a lot of sewing skills to finish this yourself. And then I just did this on the inside. I did a little bit of Blackbird Design sampler fabric and then a little piece of wool. I'm going to probably stitch down some white vintage buttons. But other than that, she's a finish. The chart calls for, or the chart also includes a biscornu up here and then a little key fob. And I intend on stitching both of those. I'll probably wait until next spring, but I'm leaving this chart and my threads and the linen all together so that I can stitch its little companions. But this was just so fun. I don't know why, it was such a peaceful stitch. I love it. It's just so gardeny and it just reminds me of simpler times. So fun. I don't know how I'll display it. I also put this just vintage trim along to close it up so you can roll it up and, you know, use it as a needle roll. I'll probably put mine in a display with my bee stuff is how I'll probably choose to do that. And I'll probably insert a picture at the end of how I've got that displayed with all my bee stitching. So I'm really excited to take those two finished pieces to the framers. And I have a few other stitched pieces that have just been waiting their chance to get framed. So I thought I'd show them to you. It's the famous under the bed box that we all talk about. So here are a few of the things that I'd like to get framed this year. This one is Every Opening Flower by With a Needle and Thread. I stitched this with Lori last year. It's stitched on the called for linen with all the called for threads. Love that. That is probably one of my very favorite finishes. And then I had this framed myself, and recently I took it out of its frame, and I think that I might want to refinish this in a different way, maybe like a bag with some fall picks coming out of it. I don't know. I'll report back next time on this one. I'm not quite certain what to do with this yet. It's a square shape, so I don't know if a bag will work or not. I was thinking like a round, you know, a round bag, but I don't know. We'll see. That one needs to at least be reframed. And then this is Flag Flock by Plum Street Samplers. That needs to go to the framer. And I stitched that with all the called for threads as well, and on the called for linen. And this one I believe is what is it called? A Maker and a Mender, I believe is what it is called, and it's by With a Needle and Thread. And I changed up the colors and linen on this. I've mentioned the names and the linen on a previous video. I believe it was Butternut or Vintage Buttercream by Lakeside is what I stitched it on, and I just changed out the reds and the blue to be a little bit darker. And I put my mom's initials down here since she's the one that taught me how to stitch. So I really I want to get that one framed so I can put that in my sewing room. Same story with this one, and these are both with needle and thread. I can't remember, Poppies, something with the name Babby and Poppies, something like that. It's by With Needle and Thread. It's an old chart. They're really fun because they have wool flowers on it as well. So that's why I thought the fun texture might be great in a bag. Or maybe even like a needle roll or something. But I'm going to revisit refinishing those. And then this is Summer by Prairie Schooler. And I have stitched all the seasons but one. I have winter framed, and I need to frame this one. This was stitched on a Lugana, and it's starting, I really need to get a frame so it'll stop falling apart. And then this last one is Spring by Prairie Schooler. So I want to get these framed. They deserve to be up on the wall. I just thought I'd share those with you. So that is all my finishes, and now let's talk about whips. And I have quite a few starts as well, as always. It seems like the thing to do. When I finish one, then I want to start 5. I've been really pretty good this summer about picking up a project and working on it monogamously. It's kind of just like been soothing, and I've enjoyed that. But then when September comes along, it does this to me every year. We'll hit Sampler September, and then I also want to stitch fall, and then I also want to finish up my summer stitching that I was working on, and so I'm like torn in like 3 directions. So, and you will see that in what I'm showing you. This first piece is stored in my Camille Ross Kelly bag. This is Shoreline Fabrics. I'll have a few of these available soon on my Instagram. Where do I put stuff? I have so much to show you. But this project is Be Happy, Humble, and Kind. I need to get this finished. I want to get it finished, but now that it's the end of summer, beginning of fall. So here, I'm stitching it with a mixture of the called for threads and then a few that we have changed. I have listed them in a previous video, but I will put them in the drop down box below. I think that would be the easiest way to list the thread changes that I did. And I'm stitching this with my good friend Lori, and we both started it together last summer and picked out threads and linen together, and I have really enjoyed this stitch so far. Here is my progress. I believe I'm stitching this on 36 count Beach Brew by R&R Linens, and oh, I love it so much. The colors are so pretty on this linen. So that is a fun one. I cannot wait to get back to this. I need to finish it. I love it. I'm going to put it in my bedroom or on the bee wall, whichever. You know, I could go on both, right? And then I haven't worked on this one recently, but this is one I want to get to soon. And now that I'm back to stitching and it's September, I want to work on my fall stitching. Autumn on Lazy Bear Mountain. And I'm stitching this with a group of friends that we've made assignments for, but we've all kind of fallen off the bandwagon on that. I'm stitching mine with the NPI silks, which are absolutely yummy and fun to stitch with. I've got it housed in my Fig Tree, I think this is Chestnut Street fabric. And here is my progress so far. I am stitching this on 40 count Dirty Teacup by Neil and Flax. I thought that it was thorn filled, and it was labeled thorn filled, but I think it's Dirty Teacup. I'm not quite certain. Either way, I love it. So I worked on getting the fence done last time I picked it up, and the fence is it's complete now. And a little word to the wife, if you're stitching this or plan to work on it, this fence is not the same distance. You know, you can't just follow, you know, you're stitching on this one and then just keep going. It's the amount of stitches changes. So I made a mistake on mine and didn't stitch quite enough. And so my moon is placed a little bit closer to this tree, I think by like maybe 1 stitch. It's off by at least 1 or 2. But I looked at the chart and it's going to be fine. I'm not going to redo it. It'll be great. And then I worked on the border a little bit more, and I believe this tombstone. And of course I outlined the moon. So I really have a lot of work to do on this, but it is an enjoyable stitch, and it's not one of those stitches that bothers me if it's not done, you know, this year. It'll be just, that's the lovely part about our stitching, is when you're ready to get back to it, it's sitting there waiting for you like an old friend. So that is Autumn on Lazy Bear Mountain. And then my next assignment stitching that I'm stitching with friends is Shores of Hawkrun Hollow. And I stitch this with, I stitch this on Fridays with a group of friends, and they do a FaceTime call. Fridays are a hard day for me, so I get on there when I can, but I miss those girls a lot of the time, unfortunately. I think Fridays are my busiest day of the week. I've got this housed in my Blackbird Designs stitching folder that I got from Debbie's Stitching. She's on Instagram and she does lovely work. And I'm stitching it with the NPIs on this. And I'm working on it on 36 count Vintage Autumn Gold by Lakeside Linens, which I've had housed in my, I've been stashing it greedily in my cupboard for years, waiting for the right project. So that is where I'm at so far. We finished the first block, the second block, and I am working on the third block. And then one day I was too tired to count, like, you know, busy stitching. So I just started the fourth block and the words, because words are always easy when you're tired. Words and fill-in stitching are always like comfort stitching to me. So I absolutely love this project. One day, years from now, when it's finished, it'll be in my my nautical bathroom. I think that we're on a 4-year plan to get this finished. We stitch a fourth of a block a month, so we'll get there though. And the nice thing about it is I've started Autumn at Hawkrun Hollow and Halloween at Hawkrun Hollow, and I don't have a schedule for them. So then I set it down and they don't get worked on. So this has kept me honest, and then I actually work on it and get it done. So I appreciate those girls for keeping me honest. Okay, this next one, I started this as a stitch along, and I know that a few of you have been working on it with me. It is Land That I Love by Teresa Kogut. I love this so much, and it was one of those stitches that I've started 2 or 3 times and just didn't know if I was actually going to ever finish it, because I just had so many false starts on it. I'm stitching it, or I'm housing it in my Minnikin Simpson flag bag that I made. Love that. They are no longer making fabric. I think their last line has just been released, so they're one of my favorite designers. I'm stitching this with all the called for threads on 36 count gray by Weeks Dye Works. And this is the Zweigart one. And there is my progress. So I've kind of gotten off the path of stitching it per assignment, but I've just been making sure that I make progress. The plan was to get it done in, I believe, 20 weeks. And I believe that I'll be able to do that. I started this, I believe, on Veterans Day last November. So it is such a fun, enjoyable stitch. It looks amazing on this linen. I'm really happy that I finally figured out the right combo. Here's the threads. They're all just yummy, vintagey colors. So there's that one. I am running out of places to put things. I'm gonna have to start dumping it on the floor. Okay, so now I have a whole bunch of starts that I got startitis once I got my stitching bug back. And this first one is housed in my Blackbird Designs bag. This was a gift from my sweet friend Cecilia. And that is Humming of Bees by Blackbird Designs. And bee stitching, I have been completely obsessed with bees and bee stitching all summer. So this is my progress. I'm stitching this with all the called for threads, I believe. Maybe I changed. I think I changed, or I added a color. So I'm gonna, I added old red paint so that I'm gonna switch, like I'm gonna stitch some of the called for, and then I'll add a little bit of old red paint so that it just looks like the bricks are a little bit older. Other than that, I'm stitching with all the called for, and this is the called for linen, which is 36 count Velt by Picture This Plus. And I just love the grunged up old look that it has given it. Again, I want to finish this like this year, but fall stitching is calling, and I just don't know if that's going to happen. So we'll see. Well, you know, I don't know any more than you do until next video what I end up doing. I might see a squirrel or two. Okay, so this next bag is my deer bag. I can't remember, Urban Chicks. I made this bag a few years ago, and when Lori was here in July, I started this project. This is a stitch and a stitch along that she started and invited all of us to join her on her Instagram. And I am stitching mine on 40 count Brown Sugar by Fiber on a Whim that I got from Christine from Hollis Hands Creates. And I am stitching it with the Blythe Green, which is a Gloriana silk, just like Lori is doing. So I just copied Lori because she has the best taste and everything always looks great. But enough said, I'm finally going to tell you, it's Dasher and Dancer by Hobby House Press. And this checks off all the boxes, this stitch. It's monochromatic, it's easy stitching. Like when your brain is tired and you just want an easy stitch, this is perfect. And I absolutely love this design. I've loved it ever since it came out. And there is my progress. So I have completed the alphabet at the top and the top border, and then the smaller alphabet and the numbers. So I think next how I'm going to tackle this is I'm going to stitch the tree in the middle, and then I'll go back and forth and finish the motifs and then the bottom. So that is my start. I started this in July. I don't know how much I'll work on it this fall until Christmas time, because you'll see here in a minute I've got another couple fall monochromatic stitching I've started, but I absolutely love it on this linen. And like I said, I just copied Lori's colors that she was doing, but they're muy bueno. I'm getting a stack here. You can see the stack in the the video. I'll switch things around here in a minute. I'm almost done with my pile of whips. I've been really enjoying my stitching, and it's just a comfort. And like I said, when you've taken a break and then you go back, it's always just there waiting for you, and like an old friend. This next one I started right after I finished Live on Little, and I want this to be up in my bedroom, and that is Let Love Rain by Teresa Kogut. She's such an amazing artist and designer. That's what the full piece looks like. And I'm stitching this with all of the called for threads on the called for linen. Most of them are DMCs. There's a few overdyes, and the called for linen is 40 count Grandma's Slip by Extrude Designs. I have it housed in my wonderful bag from my friend Cecilia. She is stitching this with me, and our friend Lily as well. It is awesome. It's perfect, and it's nice and big for this project. And here is my progress, my start of my progress. I've really worked hard on it. Oh, I'm so excited to have this one done and on my wall one day. I feel like the camera picks up, whenever I take a picture of this and like send it to a friend, I'm always like, oh, the yellow spots, like they photograph so like dark and harsh, but they're not in real life. I feel like it's such a mild and like relaxing color palette. And I'm stitching this with all the called for threads. I love this linen. It looks like Grandma's Slip. So there's my progress. My goal is to get a row done once a month, but I don't know if that will happen over the next, few months with October, and just all the fall stitching is calling me, and then Christmas. So I might not get back to this till January. We will see. But when I do, I'll really tackle each row at a time and go from there. But I want to get this done. This is definitely going to be a focus piece here soon. So when I pull this out, each time I sit down to work on this, I work on, I'll show you a better shot here. I started a project and it called for onyx from Weeks Dye Works, and actually didn't call for it. This is the thread I decided to work on or use on this project. This is Quaker Crow by the Work Basket. And this pattern was lent to me by a friend, so this is my just working copy. This is like monochromatic loveliness right here. And I'm stitching mine. So I just put in a thread a day. When I pick up Let Love Rain, I put in a thread in this before I start stitching, because it's the called for thread is in my project for Let Love Rain. And this is 32 count Autumn Gold by Lakeside Linens. So not much. It doesn't look like much yet, but I'm excited to work on that and get that one hopefully finished this fall. We will see. If not, it'll be waiting for me next fall. Okay, so these next two projects are housed in my fig tree Halloween fabric. And the first one, I started this in the summertime, and this is Jack-o'-lantern Sewing Pocket and Chatelaine, and this is by Stacy Nash. I just love all of her needle rolls, and so this was the next one on the docket to stitch. I am stitching it with charcoal, which I believe is the called for, but I am stitching this on 36 count Vintage Autumn Gold by Lakeside Linens. And when I finish it, and I will also stitch the key fobs with it as well. I think I'm going to finish it like this little sewing pocket, but a needle roll would be cute too. I'm not sure yet. I believe that this pattern was originally released as a needle roll, and then she re-released it into this sewing pocket. But it is a really fun stitch. It calls for eyelet stitching over 2 threads. So like where you would normally put a regular X, this calls for eyelets, and I didn't want to do that. So what I decided to do to make those spots stand out a little bit darker like they do on the chart picture is I'm just using 2 strands in that area. So like the S on Spooky And this dividing band right here, it has 2 strands of floss instead of 1. But I figured that's how I would make it look a little bit, you know, still look like the chart, but without having to do those eyelets. I don't mind eyelets usually, but this eyelets are usually over 4 X's, but this is over 1 X area. So I'm just like, I don't want to do that. It's kind of like the equivalent of over 1 stitching, right? Like, it's doable, but I don't really want to do it. Okay, so this last project, I started this on my birthday in 1999, and I wasn't sure about the threads over the linen count. I just was very unsure of myself. So I picked it up this fall because it was calling to me. I actually pick it up every fall when I'm going through like my fall basket of things to stitch. I always pull it out and I'm like, oh, I really want to work on this, but I don't know. So this year I finally just started working on it again. And I've decided, yes, it's a go. The reason why it was kind of it just made me ponder was because it's on 32 count and I started it with 1 strand of floss over 2. And so it's sparse, but I think because it's such dark linen and, you know, the dark threads and then the white threads, it works. It stands out plenty fine. So this is 32 count Murky by Picture This Plus. And this is Halloween at Hollyberry Farm by Stacy Nash. And this is all the called for threads. So I don't know, you know, I definitely don't think it'll be a finish this year, but I have enjoyed working on it. I've taken the stitching all the way over to the alphabet. I'm actually not quite finished, but it goes to about right. The flowers will go to be about right here. So that's as wide as it will be. But it's just a really fun stitch, and because it's 1 strand over 32, it goes pretty fast. I've really been enjoying that. So I think I'll give it some love this fall. I think it deserves it after as many years as it's sat and waited its turn. I will be back here in a minute. I'm going to clean up all of this stitching, and I have some quilting to show you, some Happy Mail from Fat Quarter Shop, and I'll try and go grab Luna and see if she's going to be calm enough to say hi on the video. I've got my lovely assistant and daughter with me, Haley, to help hold up quilts. She's on her way to ballet here in a few minutes. So the first quilt that I have to show you is The Quilted Witch by Lori Holt of Be In My Bonnet. And this was a sew along with the Fat Quarter Shop this last year. And I believe we finished it in the spring. But each block was so much fun. I decided to do it on a black background with some old witch hazel fabric from Riley Blake. Grab the side now, Haley, so we can lift up and show them the bottom. So then there's the bottom. She's riding on her broom. Hold it up more, Haley. She's got her broom and her cat there. It's her stitching witch assistant. So that's the first one, and that is The Quilted Witch by Lori Holt of Be In My Bonnet. And it needs to go to its spa day to the long armor and get quilted. And then my next finish is a Swoon 16 by Thimble Blossoms, and the fabric that I used was Nantucket and Shoreline by Camille Ross Kelly. And instead of doing 16 blocks, okay, so grab it and put it, instead of doing 16 blocks, I did 25 so that it can be a bedspread on my bed in my room. So I'm really happy with the colors and the way it turned out. It was a very, very fun quilting project. Thank you so much, my assistant. I've had a lot of fun sewing this fall. I love to sit in my sewing room and look out the window and see the fall leaves changing and listen to the breeze with the windows open while dinner's cooking in a crock pot. It's just the fall feels, and So I've really have a lot of sewing in my future, I'm sure. The first thing that I started as soon as it arrived from the Fat Quarter Shop is Strawberry Garden by Fig Tree Quilts. And they are doing a sew along for this quilt on the back, the bow tie quilt. Here's another picture of it. And as soon as it came, I knew exactly what fabrics that I wanted to start. And I immediately grabbed my fabrics and started cutting. And this is my progress so far. So this is Cinnamon and Cream by Fig Tree Fabrics. And I just thought that that would make a yummy quilt with just, you know, those colors. I love the peaches in this. It'll be a nice, just easy, sometimes just like stitching. Some days you're totally ramped up for detailed cutting and very intricate sewing. And then some days you just want an easy peasy, no brain power required sewing project. And that's what this is. Now that it's all cut out, I cut out the whole entire quilt already. I can just sit and sew, and it's just a fun and relaxing quilt to work on. So this quilt though, this book is chock full of different patterns. And then of course the sampler strawberry quilt in the front. I'd like to make that one day as well. So they sent some more goodies that I wanted to share with you. This one is Halloween Memories by Susan Aki, and talk about a book chock full of awesome projects. The front cover has all the quilts there that are in the project, in the book. And then it also has cross stitch patterns in it as well. So if you are a stitcher and a quilter like me, this book is a must. Love it. I cannot wait to work on some of those projects. Oh, I love this and I want to make this. Crows in the Corn by Lori Holt. Love that. Even just one block in a project bag, I might do. And I would really like to start working on this. This is the Quilted Scarecrow. So the quilt I just showed you was the Quilted Witch, and then she's got the Quilted Scarecrow and the Quilted Snowman. The Quilted Snowman. So cute. I absolutely love this. I really want to make this. And then this is a stitch along that the Fat Quarter Shop is hosting, but this is also a quilt. This is the quilt pattern. And it's Hometown Holiday Sampler by Lori Holt. So cute. And this one, I love this too. I love houses, any type of house. This is Topiary House. I just have like I said earlier, when September rolls around, my mind, like I've been solid through summer and I've been focusing on my stitching, and then I just get all in a frenzy in the fall and I don't know quite what to do with myself. So I'm going to show you some of the stitching that I would like to do. I don't know if I'll get to it, but some of these things are on the docket. Feels Like Fall by Brenda Gervais. This is a market release, and I've got it all kitted up. Another one is Nettle by Stacy Nash, and I think this one is going to be a for sure start. I originally wanted this for my birthday start, which was a couple weeks ago, but I just got it in the mail, but I am ready to go now. So I've got that kitted up with some Mayflower linen and just called for threads. Oh, this next one, you know, if I have it in a bag, I'm serious about it, but I'd really like to get this project started. This is Harvest Friendship by Teresa Kogut. I absolutely love that. And I need more stitching projects on my walls that are not just a house. Because I have so many that are a house, right? Because that's what we love. But I love this, and I love pumpkin heads. I love pumpkin head peoples. So I've got that all kitted up and ready to go. Right now, I think and I've got it on my little milk thread floss tags. But I think this is oatmeal by Color and Cotton, and I was thinking that that looked pretty good on there. So that is a start, I believe. I will report back next time. And then I've got some whips that really need some love. This is in my pumpkin bag. These are Fig Tree fabrics. I started this a couple years ago, and I haven't ever given it any attention since then. But this is Autumn in Baltimore by With Thy Needle and Thread, and I just have a little start. I'd like to finish the stitching on this and finish it into a drum, is how I would like to finish that one. That's another thing, is on top of having some projects on my walls that are not houses, I'd also like to have some finishes that are things I can finish here at home. And that's what I tried to focus on this summer with like the needle roll and the pears and the strawberries. And I've really been enjoying that, being able to finish a few things. The next one is in this cute bag I made a couple years ago. And this is Butternut House by Stacy Nash. I'm stitching this with all the called for threads on, I believe, 36 count Maritime White by Lakeside Linens. So I should finish this. I haven't worked on it in a year or two. I think I started it when it came out, and then I haven't finished it. This one's another one. Some of these I honestly forgot about, and as you move, as I did a couple years ago, things just kind of get set aside and left in a box. And so some of these things got unearthed, and I was like, oh yeah. But boo to you. I mean, why isn't that not finished? There's no excuse. So I shall keep me accountable, but that one shall be finished this fall. And I would really like to start. This is my really want to start bag. And this is my sweet friend Annette sent me this bag for my birthday a few years ago. Oh, I love it so much. It's probably my favorite bag I own. I would really like to start The Cat and the Moon. This is by Brenda Gervais. And again, I think I'll probably finish this as a drum with just some cute Halloween fabric around the bottom instead of in that little basket. I'd like to start Betsy's Autumn Bird by Plum Street. Oh, I'm so addicted to needle rolls lately. This one is Acorn Gathering Sewing Roll by With My Needle and Thread. Those squirrels are so cute. And then this one is As the Crow Flies Pin Keep by Stacy Nash. And this comes as a kit from Hobby House, I believe. That's where I got it. What else is in here? Ooh, one last one. I have all of these. Do I have any of them done? No. This is Oak Leaf Manor Pin Keep Drum by Stacy Nash. Oh, I love it. I love that border. So as you can see, I have a plethora of autumn goodness to keep me busy and to choose from here in the next couple months. I'm excited to come back to share my stitching with you. It was so fun today, and I look forward to being back next month is my goal. I've been watching Flosstube as I've been stitching, and some of the Flosstubers that I've really enjoyed lately. Sean Periwinkle Stitcher, she is massively talented. She stitches some gorgeous samplers and seasonal things. She is just so talented in embroidery and sewing with applique, quilting. She is a joy to spend time with. I told my daughter the other day I had her playing, and I'm like, how come I can't sound like her? because we have Wales heritage, and she just has a lovely English accent, and I wish that I sounded like that. Another one that has an adorable English accent is Paulette from the Snell Garden, and I believe that she is over there in Wales as well. She is a beautiful stitcher, and she knits the most gorgeous projects. I wish that I knew how to knit. I've had a couple of friends send me some hats and gloves, and I have a shawl that I treasure, and I just wish that I knew how to do that. I think her name is Paula or Paulette, but the Snell Garden. So go check out her channel. She has beautiful stitching, and she lives in the most beautiful area, and she travels and shares that with you as well. The other floss tuber that I never miss a episode, as soon as she comes out with it, I watch it that day, and that is my friend Jordan, the Tattooed Stitcher. She is a joy to spend time with, and she doesn't live too far from me. She lives in Idaho, and I hope to meet her one day. But she stitches samplers, seasonal stitching as well, and she is also a quilter. So I hope that you go and visit those Flosstube channels and enjoy some time with them as well. And I look forward to being back here next month. And until then, happy stitching, my friends.